All right. I'm going to call to order the Raymore Park Board meeting for Tuesday, January 23rd, 2018. I need a roll call.
Member Castleman.
Present.
Member Cipolla.
Present.
Member Eastwood.
Present.
Member Harris.
Present.
Member Heath.
Present.
Member Seamers.
Present.
Chairman Manson.
Present.
Member Howdy-Shell and Member Troutman are absent.
All right, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. All right, we have no personal appearances tonight. Next item is consent agenda. We have the board minutes, pardon me, for November 28th, 2017 and December 12th, 2017. At this time, are there any amendments to be made or any corrections?
Mr. Chairman, hold on. I got a question. Member Cipolla made an email request last week after the packet came out to make some changes. To be honest, I'm not sure which park board minutes it was in, and I haven't seen the updated park board in here.
I have those changes noted on ours, so we can proceed with the motion to accept the changes as requested.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I move we accept the minutes from November 28, 2017 and December 12, 2017 with the noted changes from Member Cipolla.
Second. All right, motion's been made and second to accept the minutes with the amended changes. Any discussion? All right. None. All those in favor? All right, we have. Thank you. Any abstain? One. Thank you. So we have 6 accepting that and ayes, 1 abstain, and 2 absent. We have no committee reports. Now we'll proceed to staff reports. Director Mustine.
Thank you, sir. I will call on Recreation Superintendent McLean to deliver a recreation report.
Thank you, sir. I have submitted a written report in the packet. I'd like to highlight a few things. The report that I submitted is covering December and January. Since December, we did not have a normal meeting. We just had the special meeting, so there was no staff report in that month. So it's a little lengthy. I want to highlight a few things. Coordinator Brennan has been working on the basketball. Basketball started, tiny basketball, and the instructional basketball programs all started games last Saturday. So he's been working on that and working those Saturdays, making sure that our program is going well in the schools. We are sharing sharing the facilities. So he's been working on that. He also did scheduling throughout the month of December. Coordinator Patrick, she had been working, she met with the Kansas City Metro Programmers. It's a group organization that is a bunch of coordinators and programmers and supervisors in the area of the Kansas City Metro area, and they brainstorm ideas. So she brought back some ideas from that. She's also been working on the Valentine's Day ball that we have set for February 9th. So I'd like to put in a plug for that event that's coming up. Most everything on prep-wise outside of the food for the night of has been put into place. We've also had a few South Metro soccer, KCML, Kansas City Metro League soccer meetings for the upcoming soccer season. Enrollments for that are closing this week, I believe, and scheduling meeting is set for I believe February 8th, that week of. So wanted to highlight those. Of course, with rentals, we've had quite a bit with holiday parties and some other community parties or business parties with Centerview, so it was a hot time of the year. We had a few slow weeks there right around the exact holidays, but then today, of course, it picked back up. As you can see on the report, we had quite a bit of activity there today. Other than that, I would be glad to entertain any questions, and that summarizes my report.
Any questions for Superintendent McLean? Brian?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I got 2 questions. The first one, probably the longer question. On December 13th, Coordinator Patrick had the Aging Mastery Program meeting. Can you go into a little more detail what that entailed?
It's a new program. She's actually working with Monique Lewis and a couple other people. It's a program that we are offering. We put it in the program guide. It's being held at Centerview. There's a lot to the program, but it's geared towards senior citizens and living well and aging well in the community. So it's community involvement and things of that nature. So I think Director Mustine, might have some more information because he started working on this program.
Yes, sir. This is actually a grant program through MARC, Mid-America Regional Council. So Coordinator Patrick, she's working with not only Monique, who has volunteered to be the lead coordinator on the ground, but also with staff members from Mid-America. So this is a pretty exciting program, and we're one of the pilot programs on the Missouri side. So we're hoping to have pretty good turnout, and so far the response has been, in terms of just phone calls and emails and things, being interested. We believe it's going to be a successful program for us, so we're excited to have been able to have a facility. If we hadn't had this interview, we wouldn't have been able to provide this, so this is something that will boost and initiate our adult programs, and we're pretty excited. Katie's doing a good job on it.
The second question I had was, I just see at Centerview, we've got HOA meetings every once a week, give or take. Is that a single HOA, or is that multiple neighborhoods coming and using the facility?
Most of those are Brookside. Brookside has, this evening, Brookside is over there with their annual meetings, so they're having the large room opened up for their annual, they bring everybody in. Then they have, on a weekly basis, they have subcommittees that are meeting, kind of like our budget, our recreation, our parks. Those committees, they have their own committees. They have about 5 of them, and they're on a rotation. So they use the Gilmore room, the conference room, and are meeting on a fairly regular basis. Pardon me. We did have 2 other HOAs that did utilize the facility over the month of December as well.
Thank you, sir.
Any further questions? Thank you, Superintendent McLean.
Thank you.
Director Mustine.
Thank you, sir. I will call on Park Superintendent Rulo for a Parks report.
Thank you. I submitted a written report, but wanted to hit on a few points. Park staff has been, with the cold weather and everything, has been stuck inside. We started remodeling our shops and our office lunch area room. The guys are really doing a good job on that. If anybody has ever dared to walk in there, you'll notice a huge difference here in about a month or so. Hopefully we're all wrapped up. And staff has also been helping out on the 3 or 4 snow events that we've had, helping out Public Works, out throwing salt on the streets. And if anybody's been by Hannah, the Hannah Depot in the past week, notice that the mayor's Christmas tree has been taken down and put back in storage for another year. Just wanted to let you all know we have 1 more year on that 3-year lease of that, and then it will be ours to own. On that, I will take any questions.
Any questions for Superintendent Rulo? Brian?
Yeah, Mr. Rulo. I saw you poured the apron for the pad, the pergola install at Ward Park. Do you have an estimated installation for that pergola? Estimated date?
Yeah, as soon as we get 2 or 3 days of warm weather that we know we can get out there, we have everything's purchased, all the cedars purchased, and all the hardware's purchased. So we're just waiting on about 3, maybe 4 days, probably a week. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Superintendent Rulo. Director Mustine.
Thank you, sir. Just a couple of quick highlights. Last night at the City Council meeting, We had a second and final reading for our part-time office assistant, Miss Greta. She will be going full-time beginning next Monday, so we're excited for that. And I know she's excited to put in a lot of extra hours. So we're glad that that's worked out, and I know that will increase our customer service response time and just overall help us with day-to-day operations. Also, at the council meeting last night, I submitted my monthly report, and we did first reading of Unlimited Play, the MOU, which you all were a part of that discussion last Monday night at the joint work session. That passed unanimously through council for the first read. Couple quick items also in terms of just CIP, wanted to bring up the Recreation Park pedestrian improvements. That, if you'll recall, that is the trail that we're going to put around the baseball diamond on field 4, and also the curb cuts to access the soccer complex. Those things, that project was pre-bid, so we had the pre-bid meetings yesterday and today. Bid opening for that will be February 2nd. We hope to have something before the park board at the February meeting for an award of contract recommendation for that. The Recreation Park Bridge, that is originally I believe it was an Eagle Scout bridge that joins Moon Valley Park and Recreation Park, kind of on the backside of Rec Park. That's scheduled for replacement. What we've done so far and with this project, we're breaking it down into 3 different components. First component is a soil testing, just to figure out what kind of, the footings and all of those things, what is going to be required. So we have that testing scheduled for the next 2 weeks. After that's complete, we will contract an engineer to actually engineer the entire specs of the project. Then we'll go out to bid and have that where the bridge is ordered and brought in. So it's kind of a 3-step process. You guys will see that in just updates and reports over the next couple months before that's actually contracted, and then we'll put that bridge in. We have picked a bridge that basically it follows or matches those that are at Timber Trails at Lemoore States, that trail, Good Parkway, the self-oxidizing iron trussels with I believe this one we're going to spec out a concrete deck that should be able to be wide enough for the mowers to go across, so we don't have to go back in through the woods to access that. So be a nice little improvement, a good safety improvement. Also, just for your information, staff is working on a restructuring of the practice soccer fields at Hawk Ridge Park. We want to maximize that space out there to get as much practice fields as we can, some ideas on how to improve the turf and overall things with that. We'll be discussing that at our DRC meeting in the morning. Once we've determined a final thing, I'll bring it to a future work session just to show the board what we plan to do out there. And at the board's request, the smoking in the parks policy that was referenced in a response to an email, I've done the research and brought back all of the former discussions and council memos and all of those things that was done ahead of time, and we'll have that ready to go at a future work session for that discussion. Just to keep in mind, staff at the management level, each week we're going through a full code review where we're working through those things. In the next two to 3 weeks is most of the parks related ordinances and codes. So I would anticipate that not only with the smoking, but the other parks ordinances that we have, we'll bring those suggestions from the management team to park board in a work session to review those. So this is perfect timing for that discussion to bring that back up. So with that, I'll answer any questions.
Oh. Michelle.
Mine's just more of a kind of an idea in my head, and maybe it's the wrong time to bring it up, I don't know. But since the mud run is such a huge success, if we can maybe tag on to the end of the mud run, a dog mud run with the owners and their dogs. There was something I saw on Facebook about it, and would be a lot of fun for those without kids, but we have dogs who love mud. So maybe something to think about.
We'll make a note of that and discuss that with Coordinator Patrick.
All right. Brian?
Okay, I got 3 quick questions. One, on the tree, the mayor's tree, I know we're getting a 3-year lease of the purchase, I guess, a 3-year. How long do we anticipate that to last before it needs to be replaced? Is that a 20-year item, 10-year item?
It's artificial, the frame's made out of metal. Yeah, I would hope that it lasts a good 15, 20 years.
So I assume it's in good shape?
Oh, yeah.
Considering
Yeah.
2 years in. Okay. Which ties into another question. I saw you guys took the shade structures down at Rec Park. How did those hold up?
They held up great.
Real good?
You can, excuse me, you can definitely tell the difference of color from the sun fading from the top to the bottom, but you know, they're going to last quite a while, yeah. And I will add that it was bringing them down. It was a little bit easier of a process than what I thought it was going to be. Going back up might be a little bit different, but we'll see. We'll see about that.
Can you explain that fading you were talking about? Is that on the poles or on the?
No, on the structure, on the fabric itself. All the colors are going to fade a little bit, especially the first year.
Right.
We don't anticipate a whole lot of color maybe after the first year getting too much worse. I've seen some of them out there that have been out there, a red that usually fades the most, been out there for 10 years, and you can still tell that it's red. So,
But most of the fade's on the top, not the bottom. The bottom's still the good solid color, right?
correct, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the bottom has not lost any of the color.
Okay. And the third question, you put in here that Superintendent Rula completed the application for Tree City USA, but then you also said we've been recognized as Tree City USA since 2013. Is that an annual process?
Yes, it is.
It is.
Yeah, every December we have to reapply, basically making sure that that we're using 2% per capita on tree-related things.
Okay. I didn't realize that was annual. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Director Mustine. All right, we'll move on to old business. This is an action item. Item A is TB Hannah Station. Director Mustine.
Thank you, sir. As you will recall, we sent out an RFQ for a consultant back in, I believe it was July and August timeframe. The staff brought before the board on September 12th a recommendation based on those interviews that we held. And then over the course of the next couple months, we went back and forth with the design, projects, all those things that are included. In December, we met again with a recommendation to the board. It was tabled for another date with a couple more additions. Last week at the joint work session, we brought those recommendations to the council, and we, as a board and as staff, presented a presentation to the council on what we would like to see at that park. That included the required obligations from the GEO bond and 2 additional projects that we were asking for some financial assistance from the council. Last week, the council was very much in favor of what we were trying to do. They were very pleased with the presentation and what we were requesting and approved those requests. So tonight before you is a proposal. This is for the design, consulting, and contract management or construction management of 4 specific projects within TB Hannah Station, specifically the spray ground, the synthetic ice rink, the restroom, and the post office facility that is currently there. It's just a restoration of that facility. So with that, all the details are in the packet. I know that the board has seen these numbers over and over. Be happy to answer any questions, but staff is asking for a recommendation to the city council for approval of this contract.
Are there any questions for Director Mustine? If not, I'll entertain a motion at this time. Brian.
I move that the park board recommends a consultant contract to CFS Engineers, and move that to city council.
Second.
Motion's been made and second for contract recommendation for CFS Engineers. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? All right, passes 7, 2 absent. We have no new business. There's no public comment, I see. I'll ask if there's any board comment to be made at this time. Brian?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I want to say congrats to Greta for becoming full-time and putting in all that extra work that now we're going to abuse you for. I also want to say our last meeting with City Council, for those that didn't meet, weren't able to make it with the Joint Council, I think was a very good meeting. It was very pleasant. I think staff put together a really good plan to put forward on our behalf to show, and some of that direction came from us in our last meeting when we tabled. They came back with a really good plan, and Unlimited Play sold themselves really well, which was our first opportunity to meet them. And it was a great experience, and I think City Council really took to both projects and jumped on board. So I think these are going to be two really good projects for us, along with everything else that's going on. Oh, and I want to tell everybody Happy New Year.
Jenny? All right, thank you. Eric?
I have nothing at this time, thank you.
Sheldon?
A little bit on the last meeting with the city council. If you watched yesterday's council meeting, I noticed that several of the city council members are already publicizing Unlimited Play, the aspect to it. In my recollection, that's the first time we've ever had that much concerted agreement from a city council for a project, and it may portend for good things in the future.
All right, Michelle?
Congrats, Greta. Thanks for all the hard work. 2018 is going to be much better than 2017 for me anyway, so thank you.
Jim?
Congrats, Greta. I'm sure it's going to be fun. Looking forward to seeing you there more often.
All right. I want to thank the staff for the excellent job they've done on this project with TP Hanna, and the City Council for their support, because that was gratifying in more ways than one. And one, we wouldn't be at this point without their support. So with that, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment at this time.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All right, motion been made and second for adjournment. All those in favor? All right, this meeting's formally adjourned.